Good morning, everyone. I'm Sashwati Tripathi, Assistant Professor from General Management Department, Birla Global University, Bhubaneswar. I welcome you all to the webinar on international business post-COVID-19, organized by
Hello.
Birla Global University.
Yes.
I hope you all are safe and healthy. The COVID-19 pandemic is set to change the world sooner than we know. The global pandemic has taken a massive hit on all the sectors of the economy. For this discussion, we have with us Mr. Vivek Patnaik as our chief speaker of this session. Sri Vivek Patnaik joined Indian Administrative Service in 1966. During his career, he served the state government in various capacities and was the Joint Secretary, Civil Aviation, Government of India, and Director, Board of Air India and Indian Airlines. He was appointed as the permanent representative of India to International Civil Aviation Organization, a specialized agency of UN. He was the chairman of the Indian delegation to bilateral air services negotiations with USA, UK, Soviet Union, and many other countries, and led the Indian delegation to the legal committee meeting, divisional meeting, and International Air Law Conference of ICAO. He took voluntary retirement to join International Civil Service as Director of International Civil Aviation Organization, a specialized agency of UN. While serving ICAO, he had also been the chairman on various boards like State Public Service Commission, State Electricity Supply Utility, Regional Stock Exchange, Task Force on Government and NGO, and MSME of Odisha Council of FICCI. He is the honorary member of Utkal Chamber of Commerce. He has delivered lectures and guest talks in universities and management schools. His interests are traveling and writing books. He has written 4 books to his credit. We welcome you, sir. We have amongst us Professor Sudhakar Panda, the Vice Chancellor of Birla Global University. Dr. Sudhakar Panda, the first Vice Chancellor of Birla Global University, retired as professor and head of the Department of Analytics and Applied Economics, Utkal University. He worked as a senior professor in the institutes like IIT Kharagpur, Vinod Gupta School of Management, IIT Kharagpur, School of Law, KIT University, and National Law University, Odisha. He has also served as director, Rourkela Institute of Management Studies. He has been the chairman of State Finance Commission, Government of Odisha, and expert member on boards of State Planning Board, State Farmers Commission, State Council for Higher Education, State Audit Advisory Board, and state level eligibility test for Maharashtra and West Bengal. He is the member Senate, Fakir Mohon University, and member Ramadevi Women's University, Odisha. He has written 6 books, out of which The Potato and the Pauper and Indian Economy in 2030 are the most popular ones. He has a number of publications to his credit in both national and international journals. He was felicitated by Honorable Governor and Chancellor of Universities of Odisha for his contribution in teaching and research in the year 2012. We welcome you, sir. We also have Professor Parmeshwar Naik, Dean, Birla School of Management, as the moderator of the session. Dr. Parmeshwar Naik is the Dean, Birla School of Management, Birla Global University. Dr. Naik, an alumnus of Delhi University, is an ardent professor of human resource management, an academic administrator, a corporate trainer, and a management consultant. He has about 31 years of experience in India and overseas, including 19 years in leadership positions like Dean and Director at several institutions across the country. He has 300 training and MDPs and 23 research projects to his credit. He has received the NIPM National HR Excellence Award 2018 in the category of Best Management Education Leadership Award, and Elvena the Luke Award of Delhi University, and a doctoral fellowship from ICSSR. He has published 2 books and 29 research papers in journals of repute. I welcome you, sir. Now, I would like to request Professor Naik to establish the context of today's discussion and deliberate on international business post-COVID-19.
Thank you, Professor Sashwati, for the introduction of our guest and your nice words. Ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. and welcome to this webinar. Hope all of you are safe in the trying time of COVID pandemic. It's just needless to say that we all are in a difficult downtime. The COVID-19 has created a havoc, a human tragedy, a xenophobia, socio-economic crisis, and mental health hazards. The virus, the tiny virus, has not only infected millions of people, but also affected millions of business enterprises globally. It has altered the business landscape not only of one nation, but whole of the world. All the sectors of international business have been badly hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. There is an unproductive uncertainty everywhere, but the future of business cannot be left to the future to be decided. This crisis situation calls for strategic actions now for finding the pathways to normalcy in business in post-COVID era. We have to be more careful and strategic in our approach to safeguard our lives and livelihoods. We have to think and act to ensure that the financial wheels of international business will keep turning soon. In this backdrop, the webinar aims at deliberating on various issues and challenges in different sectors, ranging from aviation to transportation to tourism, the kind of electricity and various other sectors, even financial sectors, educational sector, law, international law, etc. in this current and post-COVID-19 scenario. So we have many experts, two experts today to deliberate on this. So without much ado, let us listen to the experts. First, from our honorable chief speaker, Mr. Vivek Patnaik, very respected, senior civil servant and the person who has got a vast and varied experience, including his association with international trade, civil aviation organizations. And without further delay, I would request you, sir, to kindly share with us some of your thoughts on this subject of international business, particularly post-COVID scenario, based on your vast and rich experience. So,
thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Patnaik. I thank Saraswati Tripathi, Assistant Professor, for introducing me. Let me first ask the participants whether they're able to hear my voice or not. Am I audible or not?
Yeah, it's very much audible, very clear, sir.
Excellent. So I welcome Dr. Sudhakar Panda, my good colleague. I remember we had shared a platform during another crisis. It was 2008, when there was subprime crisis paralyzed the global economy. Now, after 12 years, we are facing a much more serious crisis, and we are going to share our views with all the participants. Let me say that let everybody remain safe, take care of themselves during this crisis. But that doesn't mean the life is such that has to be kept in abeyance. No, life has to go on. Hence this webinar. Let me first start by explaining what exactly is international business, because I'm aware of the fact there are many people in this webinar who are freshers in the university, and there are professionals. But I thought that since this webinar is meant for a wide variety of people, I should try to explain what exactly is a webinar. meant for. What exactly is international business? I have prepared a paper which I have given to the dean of the university. After my lecture is over, he can share it with all the participants. In addition, I will try to make a PowerPoint presentation and try to explain the subject. Can the operator allow me to share the screen?
It's already allowed, sir. Please, you can share, sir.
Okay. Can you see the screen now?
Yeah.
Yes. Good. So the first question is, what constitutes international business? The students of economics know about international trade. Actually, it's nothing but cross-border trade, it's commerce, imports and exports, and investments, etc. It has a wide spectrum of activities. Activities include food grains, fruits and vegetables, milk products, meat, fish and medicines, metal, machinery, industrial goods, sophisticated instruments, hardware. It also includes travel, hotel and hospitality, information technology services, road, railway, maritime, and air transfer services, and transactions in the stock market, bond market, and banking. All these come with the purview of international business. Now, what are the features of the global business? It has large-scale operations. It involves global competition. It involves high skills, large production. But at the same time, it also includes MSME, micro, small, and medium enterprises, which incidentally contributes to GDP and foreign exchange reserves and employment of a nation substantially. Then, in the global business, there is an immobility factor, a factor of labor and a factor of capital, because of immigration laws and fiscal policies. International business is different from the domestic business because in domestic situation, there are no immigration laws. The laws of fiscal laws are similar. Then there are different laws involved. There are different customs. There are habits and languages and practices. Then, what are the categories of international business of countries? In ancient times, spices, silk, potteries, and gold and silver were involved. But after steam engine came and industrial revolution took place, industrial goods were traded internationally. There is export orientation of some countries, Taiwan, for instance, South Korea, Japan, Singapore, China for the last 20 years is export oriented. Then there are tourism related economies. By the way, tourism is an invisible export. When tourists come, they spend money, and by that process, there is gaining of foreign exchange by a country, there is gaining of income by a country. So as a result, it is considered as an invisible export. The countries which are more tourism oriented are Thailand, Costa Rica, Spain, Greece, Maldives, and other countries also. Then some countries are involved in import and re-export. Panama is one of them. Then there are exports and imports in large volumes. USA, China, Japan, and Germany, UK, France, and India. Then some countries are known for exports of minerals. Australia, for instance, exports coal, cooking coal, alumina, iron ore to China. India exported iron ore to Japan and China. Then high technology business, USA, Japan, Germany, France, and UK. There are other countries also. Then IT hardware, initially United States, IBM, Apple are all known. Then Japan is known for robotics, artificial intelligence, communication network, although other countries are there, China has dominated. There are manpower export, very important, including high-skilled personnel export, particularly of India to the Middle East, United States, Canada, etc. We have a lot of engineers working in the Middle East. We have a lot of technical people working in Canada and United States, particularly IT engineers. Then other countries also have that. Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Philippines, sub-Saharan French-speaking people also work in other countries, like for instance, Bangladesh people, Pakistani people, Sri Lankan people, Philippines people, you find them in Middle East and large number. Sub-Saharan French-speaking people, they work in France. Many Turkish people, particularly Kurdish in origin, work in Germany. They send remittances to home countries. They help in growth of foreign exchange reserves of their home countries. USA, Russia, France, United Kingdom, Germany, and Sweden. They are known for the military hardware, space technology, aircraft manufacturing. And they're also part of international business. Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union, now Russia, was known for its civil aircraft. It used to produce various different kinds of civil aircraft, and they're to be purchased and used by Eastern Europe, China, even India. Distribution of electricity. Hydro-Quebec is a company in Canada which sells electricity to utilities in neighboring states of US. Europe has continental grids. So there is electricity is also part of the international business. Then India's power exchange. But it's also not only can it operate within the country, with the transmission lines of Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Nepal, there is every possibility of transactions, business transaction in this area also. Russia supplies gas to Europe during the winter. So the gas has also entered the field of international business through even pipelines. Then telecommunication. There are various companies in America which have presence in different countries. Even some of the companies of India have got external presence. That apart, telecom have agreements with different telecom companies with regard to use of their facilities. So there is international dimension to their business relationship. Then news channel, BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, they have got international network. There is business in that. News agency, Reuters, AF, Interfax, postal service, government, FedEx, DHL, we all know. So now this will show you the dimension of international business. I thought of focusing on international air transport. India It propels international trade and commerce and tourism, the business executive travel, the tourist travel, the non-tourist ordinary people also travel. So you have, through this air transport business, 1/3 of the cargo are sent out by freighter service and passenger airlines. Air India, operating to United Kingdom, Germany, France, USA, Qatar, other places, this is nothing but international business. British Airways operating in India or Air France operating in India is nothing but international business. Airbus and Boeing selling aircraft to Air India or Air Canada or Swiss or Lufthansa, Emirates or Air China, international business. Leasing of aircraft. The Guinness Peak Aviation of Ireland was known in the past as one of the biggest leasing companies. They lease the aircraft. India also resorted to wet leasing from Aeroflot. Air India used to wet lease aircraft from Aeroflot. This is also another area of international business. 20% of the fleet in India today is actually through lease financing by the foreign companies involving who are in USA, West Asia, and Europe. Even some have Chinese connections. Other modes of transport, roads, railways, and maritime. Maritime from ancient times, transportation of bulk of cargo is done by the ships in the past. Now, much of it is done by the ships today. And the transport of tourist traffic by cruise service is also true. It's a maritime mode of doing business. Rail service in Europe, in North America, U-Rail, Via Rail, Amtech, they carry passengers and cargo. Road service, cargo traffic by lorry service in North and Central America and Europe. The passenger traffic by Cosmos in North America. Similar continental transport, bus transport service for passengers in Europe. Then hovercraft service, which used to operate between France and England for a long time. Uber, Ola, as alternative taxi service, they have got international dimensions. International tourism. You have hotels, travel agencies that are interconnected. International chains, Marriott, Best Western, Trident, Delta, Four Seasons, etc. We all know about it. Incident to Oyo, an Indian, Pritesh Agarwal from Odisha, chain of hotels under his management. Now, you can see how the transport sector and tourism sector have got international dimensions in business. Then I come to financial sector, international financial sector, stock exchanges. As you all know, the savings are used for buying of stocks. The stock exchanges, you go for international, you go for initial public offering, follow-up public offering. The companies are listed for trading in the primary market, then for the secondary market. Foreign institutional investments do take place. Then foreign direct investment also take place. Foreign institutional investment are through stock exchanges. And usually the pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, surplus of central banks are invested in stocks across the world. Depending on prices, they enter or exit. Then there is acquisition of ownership and management of companies through stocks. Some companies are listed in multiple bourses. Bourse means stock exchange. New York, Singapore, London, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Tokyo. For instance, Aramco, we know that it's the oil behemoth of Saudi Arabia. It went for IPO on Hong Kong Stock Exchange. And it was one of the largest initial public offering of Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Then Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange, they operate. Many of its listed companies, are listed in Singapore. We have GIFT in Gujarat. You see, Gujarat International Financial Technology City as a platform for cross-border transactions. India, after liberalization since 1990s, allowed foreign companies to buy shares through bourses. Therefore, we find foreign institutional investment flow in, the flow out. Amazon buying Flipkart is an example of international business. ArcelorMittal buying Arcelor. Tata buying Jaguar. Tata's buying Corel. These are all examples of international business. Facebook is trying to invest in Geo, another international business and financial sector. United Arab Emirates, its sovereign wealth funds are going to invest in Geo. Google is going to invest $10 billion in India. I think there is every possibility of investment with Google in Geo, as is yesterday's news. So these are examples of international business. Commodity exchange. We have commodity exchange in India. It's London Metal Exchange. It's there for more than 100 years. National Aluminium Company operates through LME. Exim banks, foreign banks, they provide buyer's credit and supplier's credit across the countries. Rating agents like Fitch, S&P, Moody, these countries also have effect on investment and flow of funds. They are part of the international business chain. You have International Monetary Fund, World Bank, International Finance Corporation, ADB, New Development Bank, which is a bank of the BRICS, then Asian Infrastructural Investment Bank. They participate in international business directly or indirectly. For instance, the MSME of India will get $1 billion from World Bank. It will be, of course, not directly, but indirectly. But then there are regulatory bodies for these businesses. WTO in Geneva. You are all aware of CATS before. International Civil Aviation is a regulatory body for air transport. IATA is an organization of airlines. Asia is an organization of airports. They play a role in giving guidance to their respective members. IATA functions as a clearinghouse. International Maritime Organization, London, regulates maritime trade. ITU in Geneva, telecommunication. UPU, postal. The UNWTO, United Nations World Tourism Organization, Madrid, tourism side. Then you have International Bank of Settlement in Basel, Switzerland. So now I come to what effect the pandemic has. They spread over 200 countries and territories. More than 1.30 crore people have been infected. More than 5,80,000 have died. It has brought lockdown. It has curtailed and stopped production. Trading have an effect. There have been losses of companies, fall in profits, steep fall in revenue. There are non-performing assets, bankruptcies, and liquidations. Aviation industry. Since 1945, it has experienced many turbulence. Oil crisis of 70 to 73, Iran-Iraq war of 82, Gulf War of 90, Asian market crisis 97, terrorist attack of 9/11, SARS pandemic in 2003, subprime crisis of 2008 sector, the financial sector. So, but in spite of that, they had recovered. But COVID-19, which I consider as a black swan event, is unprecedented. The cargo flights and ferry flights are continuing. But demand has gone down 90%, revenue loss, increase of debts, bankruptcies, layoffs of pilots. There are 800 pilots have been laid off by Emirates, which include a lot of Indian pilots. These kinds of crises can give rise to bankruptcies and losses, of course. Well, global supply chain in the aircraft industry. If Boeing is manufacturing aircraft, it manufactures the airframe, but it may be taking engines from some other place, avionics from some other place. It outsources. And aircraft production is always outsourced. So this has given rise to disruption. And 737 MAX was grounded. It gave a lot of losses to Boeing. Now, people are in doubt whether the future acquisitions of aircraft of this variant, and now with COVID-19, it has been further accentuated. So 44% to 57% of the traffic would decline depending upon the duration of the pandemic, lockdown, and restoration of passengers' confidence. This is a figure I quote from ICAO. Well, I made this presentation separately to a think tank in Montreal a month ago concerning the aviation industry in particular. I will share this with the Vice Chancellor and the Dean. He can communicate to all the participants so they will get more detailed knowledge on the subject. Then bailout packages have been offered in Germany, Sweden, other places. Then let us come to the tourism industry. Air transport is the biggest contributor to tourism. In Europe and North America, rail and road transport play a big part. And also supplemented by cruise. Domestic tourism also influences international tourism. You all know the domestic tourism also have been shut down. And hotels and restaurants are closed. Unemployment is galore. Non-performing assets have increased. And according to United Nations World Tourism Organization forecast, loss will be between 900 to 1100 billion US dollars. Then there are non-COVID events. India-China relationship. Trade had reached almost $80 billion. Now you have heard that there are cancellations of 59 IT applications. Then you have MOUs have been cancelled, the contracts have been abrogated. Details of trade in different sectors, one could see it in the Economic Times news, which was published, which I have quoted over here. And you will find in various areas. You can see in smartphones, the telecom equipment, television, home appliances, and internet applications, solar power, steel, etc. I made a presentation a few days ago on Make in India program, and there I also stated to what extent our dependency is there to the Chinese market. Then US-China trade and tariff war, which was there the last couple of years, and it was coming to some understanding, and now it will further augmented after the COVID-19. United States blaming China for COVID-19, and vice versa. There is tension in the South China Sea. There is assertiveness by China, as a result of which many ASEAN countries are reviewing. But we all know that ASEAN countries are deeply connected with China in trade and commerce, so with South Korea and Japan. And then you have got the Hong Kong situation also, which is also creating problem. And then the future of the RCEP will be also under some kind of attention, because China and Australia have developed political tension. So that's not going to have the non-COVID situation is going to also affect. Then the tourism industry. Air transport is the biggest contributor to tourism in Europe. Sorry, I think. Yes, there is another factor which is going to play. The manpower. New law in Qatar which restricts number of foreign workers. There's a visa problem in US of many foreign nationals. Chinese students connected to the PLA may not return. May have to return. US sanction Iran. Collateral damage for others like India. Fortunately, oil prices are low, and it has other problem because the CFO of Hawaii, the daughter of the owner of the Hawaii, is facing extradition charges in Canada. As a result, the relationship between China and Canada is becoming difficult. So this is another factor which will also contribute to the economics international business. Then let us see the financial sector. The share market collapsed first, but revived. You can see the Sensex that lifted in India, it revived. Nasdaq, US, CAC in France, DAX in Germany, KOSPI in Korea, Hang Seng in Hong Kong. You can see the index, how they're fluctuating. Foreign exchange reserves of India have increased. The history of the stock market is very different. It is concerned more with the earning of per share, liquidity in the market, the price of alternative assets like bond, gold, silver, real estate, not necessarily connected with growth, and the strength of dollar. Bloomberg studies say the traditional ratio of 60-40 between stock and bond may change under the present circumstances. The retail market share number very low in India in comparison to Western market. I thought of mentioning this. Other sectors, you can see, I do not want to go to other sectors. The sectors are huge in number. The quarterly balance sheets of companies reflect pictures of slow down. Well, there are NPAs in banks also. Telecommunication sector. Well, that is an interesting thing. As I mentioned to you, telecommunication sector, there has been more of telecommunication, more of surge in information data, which is a new tendency. Although construction activities of the telecommunication sector suspended, new construction activities. That's another factor. But the fact remains that because of more use of telecommunication facilities, particularly internet use, that has given rise to a different dimension to international business. News media, print media affected, but TV channels not so much. On the contrary, TV channels are more action. A study needed in this respect because you have to study which company actually has suffered, which hasn't suffered. Working from home is a new approach. This has its own problem because the cyber security can be. Then what are the role of the government and central banks? Yes. Government must spend money in infrastructure in emerging markets, developing economies. And these developed countries, they have to give out bailout packages. Interest rate has to be modulated. There has to be moratorium. There must be rescheduling debts, liquidity. There should be quantitative easing, bond buying, International Monetary Fund, World Bank, ADB, AFDB, African Development Bank, and all of the banks can assist directly and indirectly. By the way, World Trade Organization says fiscal policy, monetary policy, trade policy must be in the same direction. Markets to be kept open, predictable, business friendly, environment must be there. Protectionism may create new shocks. IMF is saying protect lives, protect livelihood, plan for recovery. Anyone's fight is everybody's fight. Global solidarity, common resolve for international coordination. Way forward, international cooperation, not abnegating international bodies. This is not the time to abnegate international bodies. Wrong. Leaving WHO is wrong. Growth of international regime has been conducive for growth and revival all along. The role of international aviation, internet, free movement of labor and capital have brought tremendous improvement throughout the world. Air transport resumption and revival of global business are interconnected, just as domestic and global business has symbiotic relationship. They have to be understood by governments. International tourism has developed due to rising middle class, retiring baby boomers. You know who are the baby boomers? They are mostly for baby boomers in the West, those who are born after the Second World War. And then you have got wealthy people, but also same healthy elderly people. So traffic are actually growing from the emerging market, including India. International tourism received a lot of traffic from India. New areas of tourism, according to me, have to be explored. Islands of South Pacific, Sub-Saharan Africa, Caribbean, these are the areas. I personally feel that high net worth individuals must invest in tourism and contribute to reduction of poverty in these countries. Domestic tourism has to start first. The global rich must invest in corporate social responsibility for reduction of inequality. And those who have read Thomas Piketty, Capital of the 21st Century, you must read the new book on inequality produced by him, and also Atkinson's book. They're relevant. And I very strongly feel the global rich must try to create a global fund for public health, which is to under the UN system. I think I have given a general overview of international business during this crisis. I do not wish to sum up. Thank you very much, Professor Naik, for giving me this opportunity to introduce this subject. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Such a very comprehensive, very informative deliberations. I think you have taken care of many of the questions asked by the participants before this webinar. There are about more than 100 questions we received. I have some broad questions which I would like to ask. I think you will not mind to give some of your, some answers and share your thoughts so that the participants and all of us will benefit. You know, there are stories about countries imposing trade restrictions and export bans on several products, including even the medical products, in reaction to the COVID-19 virus outbreak. In such challenging and uncertain situations, do you think trade should be opened up? And what actions do you suggest to be taken to boost the confidence on trade and business, sir?
Well, if you go to the website of WTO, you will get the answer. Director General of WTO has expressed his serious misgivings with regard to ban on medicines and pharmaceutical products. And secondly, of course, we can understand every country has to look after its own people first. That is a priority, very well understood. But for no other reason, there should be no restriction, particularly. It's a global crisis. And I have always stated that in a case, in the situation like this, there has to be global cooperation, coordination. This is not a time for enmity. This is not time for fight. It's a fight to bring peace. Then you can fight the war against COVID-19 together. That's the main thing. So there are sanctions against impositions. There are WTO itself has got procedures for it. And I think recently I read somewhere that some of the people have stated it's a time for reform WTO and to revive WTO. As you know very well, WTO has been paralyzed for the last couple of months because of the obstinacy of the United States by not funding them for appointment of an appellate tribunal. So we know that. That's one factor. Yes. I think that should answer the question of yours.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Also, you know that trade is essential to save the lives and livelihoods. And if we do not, allow the trade to operate, how long we can continue like this?
I fully agree. I mean, you have to understand the health is connected with your income.
Yeah.
If people die of hunger, what are you doing? Let's not forget, although COVID-19 is a serious problem, let's not forget that each year in India alone, people to the tune of 3 to 4 lakh die of tuberculosis. 3.45 million people in the world die of tuberculosis. Ebola claims a lot of lives. Yes. So you have to think of that. I'm not saying that you should give less service to COVID. No, COVID is the first thing to be attacked now. But other diseases are also there, which also claim lives. Yes.
Sir. Sir, thank you. Sir, you spoke very elaborately about the aviation industry. And you know, airline industry is badly affected. I think if one of the industries internationally affected is the airline industry. And recently I heard Brian Prates, the chief economist of IATA, saying that we think airlines are going to probably lose an unprecedented $84 billion US dollar in 2020. While international travel will likely remain volatile for now, do you think the domestic travel and air traffic will help the aviation industry to survive and at least maintain their cost in the long run? I heard also that today perhaps Indian government has decided to operate its international flight between New Delhi and US and France. What's your take on this?
Well, during my presentation, I did mention a detailed presentation which I have made to a think tank in Montreal on this subject. I was a presenter there. And you can share it with the students and others also. Fact remains that yes, today, international business in aviation is very poor. Domestic aviation also was affected. It has revived in India. But there are guidelines on how to revive during the pandemic. The guidelines have been given by International Civil Aviation Organization in consultation with IATA and ACI, two other international bodies, and also with WHO. Those guidelines must be observed. And based on that, international flight can start. European Union has already allowed 14 countries to operate to European Union, their airlines. And India, who so rightly said, has already thought of starting international flights. Even in Latin America, I saw yesterday's news that on the 1st of August, Costa Rica will operate its aviation activities because Costa Rica, as you know, depends heavily on tourism. Would like to reconnect the business. So I strongly feel that international aviation has to restart. Of course, with precautions. See, you have to follow social distancing, you have to follow sanitation. There are guidelines with details out there. You must wear masks, everything has to be followed. But you can restart. Yes. And without international aviation, international business operations will be inhibited. As you know, domestic business is connected with international business. If domestic business doesn't take place, international business cannot take place. They're all interconnected. So therefore, and international business is dependent on international aviation. Fortunately, cargo traffic is going on. And when cargo traffic is going on, but the cargo traffic cannot be complete, although we are having video conference and all that, but there are necessities of okay. In addition to that, tourism must be stopped. That's also that contributes substantially to GDP.
So, thank you. You also you spoke about tourism, and millions of jobs actually in the global tourism industry are at stake due to COVID-19 pandemic, and it has got a chain effect on the hotel industry and the hospitality sector. In this context, I would like to know, under such scenario, how do you see the future of tourism sector, and how long will it take for the tourism sector to come back to normal during the post-COVID scenario?
You see, as I told you, there are hopes and optimism in many places. In my presentation, in my paper, say that Air Canada CEO says there's a pent-up demand for travel. Even the Indo chief executive has expressed the same thing. There's a pent-up demand, which is true. People want to travel. So everything depends upon the lockdowns. There are some lockdowns, local lockdowns can affect the national economy. As you find in India, this is the case. And there is one expression of the view in various economic media. Businessmen also saying the same. But you have to weigh when exactly you should stop or you should unlock. You should unlock when you will start, and how long the lockdown will continue. These factors are very difficult to predict at this stage. But the moment the lockdown is over, there will be precautions, I'm sure. And the business will recommence, and tourism will recommence. And as I told you, domestic tourism will start because that does not require any relaxation of laws and rules. For the international tourism, it has to be understanding with other countries. You can't send your passengers unless other countries are willing to accept. So therefore, they are interdependent. The domestic tourism will start first. There is need for exploration of new areas of tourism, particularly in the international domain. I feel that for some time people will not go to countries like Europe because many South Asian people, Indians, travel to Europe during summer time. They will not travel because France was affected, Italy was affected, Spain was affected, UK was affected, the United States, of course, was affected so badly. So they will look for other areas, other avenues. And I very strongly feel South Pacific Islands are beautiful resorts. They've got beautiful resorts, beautiful places to visit. Caribbean also beautiful. African countries are beautiful. In those areas, investments made by the people to develop tourism sectors.
So, Actually, you spoke about people working from home and the employment scenario is such that there's actually, as I told you, the unproductive uncertainty is continuing. People are worried. Actually, many people are having
Yes.
mental, emotional health issues.
Yes.
In such circumstance, what are your advices to the young people and aspirants who have really ambition to join international business? How quickly the workforce will come back to the new normal situation, and what preparation they should do? What are your advices for these young people who are participating in this webinar?
The first thing I will advise the young people, they should have optimism. There is no substitute to optimism. They must be always be positive, and they must develop self-confidence. At the same time, they must be careful about their health. Absolutely. Not wearing masks, not maintaining social distancing. These are not good things. You know to what extent America, such a developed country, is suffering. So this is my first advice. Second advice, they should start identifying new project ideas. This is the time for them to think, apply the mind. Although the lockdowns are there, but internet is working. People are working from home. This younger people are far more adept in the IT than we people. So they can always surf the internet and find out good ideas. They can apply the mind, they can communicate with each other, and they can do brainstorming among themselves, get new ideas, and what they can do after the lockdown is over. First, of course, in the cyber jurisdiction, yes. For instance, when you are working from home, you don't have the same kind of cyber security that you had in the office. So, this is one area where cyber security has to be provided. This is one area entrepreneurs should come forward, try to invest. See, I'm talking young people. And then, well, there are all businesses cannot be in cyber area. You see, that has to be in the physical area. We have to think what are the new areas. And each state has its own potentialities. I was very happy recently. I came across a girl who is in Bhubaneswar is trying to produce chocolates, and to the local taste from home. This is good business. And similarly, I'm giving this an example. This is how you can think of even domestic tourism within Odisha, how it can be promoted. In India, how it can be promoted. I'm just giving an example. And one can also think in terms of operating drones, how to use drones. That's another area. I'm talking the civil aviation side. I'm going to that area. There are many areas. You have to first get ideas. This is the time to generate ideas. First is optimism. Take care of your health. Third is get new ideas and plan. And when the lockdown is over, you start.
So thank you. This, I think, our time which we had taken from the organizer is there. They have extended the time of the webinar by another 15 minutes. So I thank the organizer for doing so. And so that we can have more discussion on this subject, we have to, I'll have some more questions later on after we listen to Dr. Sudhakar Panda. And I thank Mr. Vivek Patnaik ji for such an illuminating and a very enlightening kind, deliberation. And I look forward to having more interactions after Dr. Sudhakar Panda. And we will address the questions were asked by some participants after this. Now I request our Honorable VC Vice Chancellor, Dr. Sudhakar Panda, to share his thoughts on the subject of international business.
Thank you, Professor Naik. We have had the privilege of listening to one of the enlightened speakers of the state. The way Vivekji analyzed the entire scenario, global scenario, right from what is international business, features of global business, tourism related, air transport, and discuss the role of the international regulatory bodies, and particularly he specialized in throwing much light on the aviation industry because he has that gifted experience of working in different international aviation bodies. And what I think Vivek ji has virtually covered all the important aspects of the problem that we are facing now. In fact, the bigger issues which the world will face will emerge once the COVID effects are known, the full effects are known. As it is, Vivek ji said, it affects almost all the important sectors of the world economy because COVID is global, not local. Second, it has affected the richest economy, the worst way, America. It has affected the European Union countries. It has affected almost every country, which he has also highlighted. Now, the problem is how to provide the necessary stimulus to the economies of the world. We know what is happening in India and how the government has been taking steps to stimulate, to provide stimulus, to provide different packages for the revival of the economy, for the development of the economy. If you look at America, the unemployment rate has increased from 3%, 3.5% in February to 14.7% in April. Just imagine. And that is not the last. It will keep on increasing because there is no sign of COVID recessing in that country or in other countries. In fact, as it has been predicted, rightly or wrongly, that the second wave will come. I hope it does not come, but if it comes, it will have severe, very severe impact on the economy. And almost all the sectors will be asking for subsidy, will be asking for help. In America, they're asking for unemployment insurance because unemployment has increased. This is a burden. As rightly pointed out, the aviation industry has been most affected. And the aviation industry has asked in America for a subsidy of $550 billion. That is in America. And we know what has been affecting our industry as well. The employment effects are there. That has also been rightly told. And one of the areas which offers employment, your restaurant industry, hotel and restaurant industry, that has also been affected. So it's a very difficult question now, how we are going to deal with that. Of course, we are taking the necessary measures. We have been doing it, but it's very difficult to foresee how COVID second wave will come. And if the second wave comes, which has been said, even by WHO and all that, I hope it does not come, then the situation will deteriorate from bad to worse. So I think Vivekji highlighted almost all the important aspects. He has clarified the issues that you have raised or the listeners have raised. And whatever questions we are still receiving, because we are 15 minutes late, we have time to discuss. I thank you, sir. I thank you very much for accepting the invitation of the university to come here and share your enlightened views with us and with the audience spread throughout the country. And I hope this is not your last. This is maybe one of the series which the Dean has been conducting. There will be more occasions, and the university looks forward to see you. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Naik. Thank you, Vivek.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I think we will address to some of the questions asked by our participants. There are about more than 100 questions, but it is not possible to address to all the questions individually. I have tried to find some theme out of few questions, though many people have asked similar questions. Therefore, I would ask the question, and both the speakers, the chief speaker and our honorable vice chancellor, both can answer the questions as per their convenience and preferences. People want to know actually what are the survival strategy that you want to suggest for business success in post-COVID-19 era. One or two advices, what are the survival strategy?
I think you are putting the question to me, Professor Naik.
Yeah, you
Yes.
can, both of anybody can address. I think Professor
Yes.
Panda has just taken off for some time.
Yes. So, existing business and the new business, they're two different things. It all depends upon what business you're doing. As I told you,
Yeah.
if you're in this stock market business, then there is no difficulty. People are still doing stock trade. Or if you're in the domain of IT, people are doing from home. And suppose you are in hotel industry, certainly you have to wait till such time the passengers come. Well, till such time the customers come. If you're in the, let us say, in the aviation industry, passengers have to come. Tourists must come. But in the production, when the demand at one stage came down, and then so the production had to stop. And even not only the workers themselves could not be brought to the factories, but they had to be also brought under certain circumstances. So we are going, the whole world is going through a transition. But at the same time, as you know, unlocking is taking place. In many countries, unlocking is started taking place. In Europe, for instance, in Spain, which suffered so much, they have opened the beaches also, but with restrictions. You see, you can't have a complete lockdown for all time to come. And you cannot have complete openness that you had in the past until such time the vaccines are available, or drugs are available. We have to wait. The patience has to be there. But at the same time, whatever business is feasible, we must start. Actually, I was trying to connect myself with the professor of psychology. Professor of psychology, actually I had requested Professor Fakir Mohan Sahu of SIM, who have written a very good book on this subject, how to give counseling to people during this crisis. You must have seen there is domestic violence is increased. A lot of committing of suicide, which are coming to news. These are all things are quite understandable. So, prospective businessman or existing businessman will go through the same crisis. So, the counseling is provided. The psychologist, the psychiatrist must offer the services. This is, I do not know how much I think people are thinking of that. In India, people don't want to go to psychiatrists and psychologists because they feel it's intra-week, not a good thing. But in the Western world, people go to psychiatrists very regularly and they sit down. There's nothing to feel unhappy about. This is one. Secondly, survival first is your physical survival, your health as a life. So you must first survive yourself. That's the first precaution. Second precaution, whatever business you're doing, which is within the policy, go ahead. And for prospective business, search for new ideas. You have plenty of time to search new ideas. And young people, they have so many brainy ideas. I have, although I'm 78 now, and I still interact with young people through seminars, workshops, and give lectures. I prefer to first to improve myself. To be honest, only when I meet the young people, I upgrade myself. In fact, to quote the Prime Minister's skill, upskill, and reskill, that kind of thing. I don't think that I'm too old to upskill myself. Exactly. The young people should reskill, upskill, go into new areas. This is the right way. And be optimistic. Optimism is the name of the game. And each generation plays the same. Absolutely. And if you are pessimistic, the COVID-19 will have victory. But we must defeat it. That's why I was saying that political leaders must understand this is not the time for differences. They should join hands, not only nationally, globally. Globally, I hope I am conveying messages to everybody by this process. I hope, without specifying.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There are questions from people about Atmanirbhar Bharat. People are asking whether it will be good for India. If you look at current relationship between India and China and banning some of the products of China in India, people are thinking that even the mobile phone is becoming costlier, and Chinese produced mobile phones are less costly compared to products of India. So people are expressing worries about it. So how both of you, both Dr. Vivek Patnaik and you, can throw some light? Will it be good for India, or we should go for Atmanirbhar Bharat?
Should I speak first, or Professor Panda will speak first? Should I speak first?
You please. Everybody. I think Dr. Panda can start. Yeah.
Dr. Panda can start.
Oh, okay. So in fact,
being an economist.
No, I gave a webinar in Gurugram University on Atmanirbhar Bharat, Haryana. So actually, what is Atmanirbhar Bharat? It's not self-sufficiency, but it is an effort to, as rightly said, skill, reskill, upskill, and look assess our capabilities in different areas of production, manufacturing, etc. In this context, you know, there are many examples where Indian engineers, Indian technology, Indian expertise have been used to produce things without any foreign cooperation. 100% India. You know, the train 18 that runs between New Delhi and Varanasi. Can you believe that Indians have produced a train which is engineless and driverless and runs in speed, connects the two important cities of the country? This is something rare. Similarly, you have referred to the health sector. Look at the institutions, particularly the research institutions, the medical institutions, which have been trying to produce ventilators. Earlier, we used to import them. Now, the number of COVID patients has been increasing. Whatever ventilators we have are not enough. And sometimes the import, which we are doing from China, and it is reported that China sent us used ventilators. Reported. So here is a question how we Indians, the scientists, can do research and produce a ventilator in India which will help us. We are not saying that stop imports. All that we are saying that a time has come that we must connect India to the earlier concepts. Earlier concept is Make in India, digitalization of India, inclusive India, of course, that is a more economic and social concept. And, you know, transformation of the Indian economy using indigenous technology. It's not that we are backward in everything. It's not that the companies cannot produce a, this mobile here. Yes, we can. China has been assembling them. The technology comes from different countries. The glass comes from one country, the technology comes from America, something else comes from America, then that case that comes from some other country, and they're all assembled in China. And whatever, if China could do it, I mean, produce things and this, China is excellent in imitating the things which are produced in other countries. But we are not imitating anything. What we are doing, we are trying to develop our technology. How to create development, how to go ahead with manufacturing activities, how to make the best use of the digitalization, and how to infuse the spirit of digitalization, technology, innovation into the minds of the Indian engineers and Indian professionals. So I think it's a very good, excellent move, which has been taken. And for that, there is a package has been announced. So let us hope we are not, keep on importing. We should also try to develop ourselves. I'm not saying that we will become self-sufficient. No country in the world is self-sufficient. But our dependence on China, you have referred to, can you think the candles are imported from China? The torchlights are imported from China. The umbrellas are imported from China. Ganesh idol is imported from China. What a shame. The Indian gods have to be imported from China. This is how we have to become Atmanirbhar. The crackers. Why not we do it ourselves? Maybe we are not that good. But unless you do a thing, release it to the market, how will you know how good you are in producing that? You have to wait for consumers' reaction. You have to wait for market reaction, market assessment of the production which you are doing. So then only when the feedback comes, you can think of producing, you can think of, increasing the efficiency, you can think of sophistication, you can think of bringing excellence into the production. So if we just don't do anything and keep quiet, well, nothing can help us.
Thank you.
So Atmanirbhar Bharat is just a right step. It's the right step to begin the journey.
Thank you, sir. So, of course, we are running out of time. I expect a very brief response from both of you on the Vivek ji, sir, if you want to just say one or two sentences in this response, like Atmanirbhar Bharat will be good for India or not. I think we have to go to one more area where number of about 50 questions are there related to that. After that, we will close this webinar. Therefore, we are running out of time. So with this, I request you to be very brief.
Yeah. I think
Respond to this.
Dr. Panda has adequately answered.
Yes.
My own experience has been that Indians are highly capable people.
Yes.
Otherwise, we would not be dominating the IT industry in America. You see, most of the successful entrepreneurs in America are from India, from IITs. You see, we have dominated that. Mr. Pichai, the Google chief, is from India. Then you have the Microsoft chief is from India. There are many such chiefs from India. So the big talent exists. And otherwise, they don't have so many engineers of India in Middle East or in Canada, another place. Talent exists. And to say that we have suffered from brain drain is wrong. We have sufficient talent in the country. I have interacted with young people who are in India. Brilliant, excellent. But we must get an opportunity to do well. Atmanirbhar, let's not take it as a slogan. Let us try to develop. Is everything within us? So secondly, I was the chairman of Appointment and Promotion Board of International Civil Aviation Organization. So I have recruited people from across the world and have dealt with civil servants across the world. I can tell you one thing, the Indians are the most dedicated and sincere people, no doubt. They are better than even the Germans and the Japanese. It all depends upon the area they work. The atmosphere must exist for them to work. So this is all right. Secondly, yes, in every area we can produce. And as Dr. Panda said, no country can be self-sufficient. Let's not take it as a slogan. Let's try to develop. There are many things which you can do. Mr. Bill Gates has today told that India can supply the vaccine to the whole world. Our Institute of Virology will produce it. Secondly, India has been the Indians So if you make an effort, if effort is made, there's sincerity and commitment, everything is possible. Okay?
Sir. Thank you, sir. There are concerns expressed by many young participants, perhaps maybe students, who are worried about their, job placement in the maybe COVID-19 can continue how long nobody knows, or post-COVID or new normal situation. What are your advices for this? What are the different sectors which will be promising sector for them for their job placement, and what should they do? Some advices. They are very much worried. From the questions I can make out. So, being such a senior person, what will be your advices to these young people, students who are very much worried about their future career?
Yeah. In the first place, as a university, you should organize a webinar with some executives of the companies so that they can interact with them. We'll do it. Second, my appeal to the young people who are feeling depressed, that let them not get depressed. This black swan event will pass. It's a question of time. Second, they should themselves try to find new ideas themselves. It's not, people should think of self-employment. You see, there was a time when people were looking for jobs in companies or governments. During my time, everybody wanted to join the government. But that culture has gone. People are now coming to corporate bodies. People are going to join non-governmental organizations. This time for self-employment has come. And there is also a possibility of doing business from home. That is, you see, every crisis creates an opportunity. This is a crisis, it will create an opportunity. You just send one person who is expressing his frustration to me, let him talk to me. I will tell him what to do. You can, those people who have put questions to them, select 4 to 5 people. I can't address 100 people. Tell them to contact me. I can have a webinar with them or a video conference with them, or on Skype I will talk to them. I will tell them what. This is my suggestion.
Thank you very much, sir.
But I would suggest you should have a webinar with the corporate executives who can answer these questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. With this, I think I thank Mr. Vivek Patnaik ji, Dr. Sudhakar Panda, our Honorable Vice Chancellor. Such a, what I can say, that a very comprehensive, all-encompassing, so, you know, the kind of a discussion touching all aspects of international business and answering many questions that we have raised. We cannot go beyond this time. It is now exactly 12 that we have taken time, half an hour more than what we had planned. Thanks to the organizer for extending the time. And now I request our host, Professor Saraswati Tripathi, to offer vote of thanks. I must thank all the participants for their I think I was watching, they are constantly listening to all the speakers with rapt attention. I must thank them for participating from my behalf, on behalf of Birla Global University. Over to Saraswati.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. There are a lot of takeaways, and my takeaway would be to stay optimistic in this situation. So it was a fantastic experience with overwhelming support from the participants. We are overwhelmed with gratitude, and we look forward for such continuous support from you. I, Saraswati Tripathi, on behalf of entire panel of webinar and BGU family, mention my deepest sense of appreciation to our chief speaker, Mr. Vivek Patnaik, for sparing time with us and making us aware about the facets of international business and how to build business run during this situation of pandemic. I extend my heartfelt thanks to Professor Sudhakar Panda, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Birla Global University, and to Professor Parmeshwar Naik, the moderator of this session, for their valuable insights. I would also like to thank Mr. Game Pandey for his unending support. Once again, I thank you all for being with us this morning. It's been really a great pleasure. Wish you good health. Stay home and stay safe. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Saraswati.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Patnaik sir, thank you very much. Very much.